This is Matt from Hologram Electronics, and today we're going to be talking about the multi-delay presets on Microcosm. Within the multi-delay effect bank, there are two effect types, pattern and warp. As with all other presets on Microcosm, there are 4 variations or algorithms of these effects. So we have pattern A, pattern B, pattern C, and pattern D. And each one of these presets has a unique delay pattern associated with it. So with activity and repeats all the way down, we essentially just have a slapback delay. Repeats functions as you would expect it to as that's turned up. Feedback is increased. It does not self-oscillate though, that's important to note. And when you move the time knob, you'll notice that it doesn't actually change the pitch either. Now in all the multi-delay presets in both pattern and warp effects, the activity knob controls the number of active delay taps. So all the way down sounds like this. Halfway. Starts to become a little bit more complex and dense, and then all the way up. So now let's actually listen to the different rhythmic patterns between the different pattern presets. So I'll turn activity halfway and repeats halfway. Maybe put it on 2x so you can hear it a little bit better. So this is pattern A. Pattern B. Pattern C. And pattern D. Finding the right balance between the level of activity and repeats is totally up to you, and which pattern you want to use may depend upon the song or context that you're playing within. But you could also use one of these unique patterns to generate a riff in and of itself. So with the warp presets, different modulation effects are added to the delay taps, like filtering and pitch shifting. In warp A, we have an envelope-controlled filter on the delay. B has a resonant bandpass filter on the delays. Warp C has octave up and octave down pitch shifting. And warp D, which is one of my favorites, crossfades the delays with double speed grains, which is a super unique effect. Now let's take a look at some creative applications using the multi-delay presets. As with all the effects in Microcosm, the playback direction of the effects can be reversed by pressing the preset selector in. That animation indicates that it is now playing in reverse, and since we're using a delay preset, we're now using a reverse delay. I think that would sound really cool with warp C, which is the one that pitch shifts up and down an octave in the delays. The next effect I want to share with you is what I'm going to classify as what sounds almost like a broken spring reverb, kind of like a lo-fi echo. The first thing I'm going to do is turn up the modulation depth by holding the shift button and turning the repeats knob up. And then by continuing to hold the shift button and turning the shape knob, I'm adjusting the pitch modulation frequency. I'll leave the repeats knob all the way up, activity all the way down and put it at a higher subdivision as well. Of course, you could turn the subdivision down, maybe add a little bit of reverb. And filter down some too. This is a good segue into the next effect, which is kind of just a complex reverb sound. So I'm going to go to Warp D, and with the double speed grains, it kind of has a shimmery effect. So I'm going to turn space up all the way, dial the mix back some, activity up all the way, and maybe somewhere like that. Because there's modulation and delay going into a large reverb sound, you have a complex and evolving reverb effect. For this next effect, I'm going to leave it on Warp D, but you could use any of the multi-delay presets. I'm going to turn pitch modulation down, maybe to halfway, so there's still a little bit. Repeats and activity all the way up. And what I'm going to do is manipulate the time control. And as I move it, it kind of glitches out a little bit in this way that I think sounds cool. Maybe I'll add a little bit of reverb, and that sounds like this.